We're back with more JOMArchaeology at the beautiful Starlight Showroom with Mark Opel.
Mark Opel is a former employee of JOMA. And if you guys remember, one of the first videos that we put out with me involved was talking about my first day at work. And I met Mark my very first day at work. And if you know that story, he's the one that gave me the nickname Scott Spilloops. So this is Mark Opel, proprietor of Starlight. And we're going to go over some interesting finds. So
you guys go for it. I'll do the camera.
Are you there?
We're here.
Okay, so this chair I found in the attic of my first house I bought in Athens on Millard.
Millard?
Anyways, Mark, what's up with this little chair?
So, it is made by the Stickley Furniture Company. Let's see, it's got work of LG Stickley. I don't know if you can see that there. It's early. It's a little earlier than what I typically work in, or what I typically deal in. That being said, Stickley chairs are pretty well known. They're this chair, based on the label, is early 1900s, probably 1910 to 1920. The wood, it's hard to tell. It's been refinished. My guess is that it's oak. It would be what they would consider mission, I think Stickley called these their cottage mission side chairs, which would have fallen right into the arts and crafts movement. Perfect styling for an early Sears cottage or something like that. I note, with anything dealing with vintage furniture, vintage anything, everything comes down to condition. This one is very presentable. I can tell by looking at it that this seat portion has been replaced. The chair, I believe, would have originally either had a slung leather or an inset with a padded leather seat on it.
Yeah, that looks like modern plywood. You can see this.
Yeah.
It's not.
Plus the way you can hear the bounce in it.
A couple of, you can see a nail hole right here. They probably wouldn't do that at Stickley.
It looks like it has been refinished with probably polyurethane. And so for anyone who is interested in refinishing their furniture, I would honestly say if you're doing it for your own sake and you want it, and that's what's easiest to do, go with poly. But if you're ever doing something that you hope to turn around and sell, most furniture from 1900 on is typically a lacquer finish. That being said, back to the Stickley chair. It's in pretty good shape. Otherwise, I like how it has little tenons, little mortise tenons that hold it all together. It's great construction. I say it goes great in the arts, and if you're arts and crafts, especially here in Athens, like there's a lot over in 5 Points and whatnot. There's a lot of craftsman style homes, and whatnot. People that are into Frank Lloyd Wright and that kind of market are huge into the mission stuff. A lot, like I said, this chair I would probably estimate as is like $200 to $300, $500 for one that's all original. But this one's at least in a nice presentable shape that I think there's still a pretty nice market for that.
All right. Okay, now here's the other weird. These are, I have no idea what they are. They've been a mystery in our household. They're just very strange chairs, and we have no idea. So let's see what Mark has to say about these.
So these are mid-century modern. As you said earlier, you are correct. They are brass. They are solid brass. And obviously these have been, you said you found them in a greenhouse. Well, chances are that these were used, being solid brass, they were probably sitting out in the garden as the garden chairs. And then over time, the wicker, just gave out. And when they finally were no longer usable as chairs, they threw them in the greenhouse and said, we'll get them fixed someday. And now you have them, and hopefully you'll get them fixed someday. But the great thing about these, they're by a designer named Dan Johnson. They're called the Gazelle chair. Gazelle chair, and they're you can see.
I can see why. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's a little profile of it. Scott's got, well, I believe the model number on this is the model 10A, which has the short arms. Dan Johnson, the designer, loved a lot of his designs have these sort of elbow rests as opposed to full arm rests. That's kind of one of his signature pieces. Not everything he did was in metal. A lot of his famous chairs are solid walnut, but have a lot of brass accents and whatnot. But yeah, this is, I believe, the Gazelle 10A, and then the accompany chair. Ooh, this one is funny. This one has no arms and is noticeably heavier than that one. But this is the Gazelle 10B. The difference being that one has armrests and the other does not. And so, coming down to what you have here is the fact that, like you said, they are solid brass. There's such thing as patina and there's such thing as corrosion. Patina is the natural oxidization of metals and even woods, but as it progresses, as that oxidization takes fuller form, it does become sort of a corrosion. But the nice thing is with brass, you can bring it back, you can make these look brand new. But so, that being said, I said it's kind of good bones. These chairs are highly desirable. Looking online to what these are the first ones I've ever seen in person. I've seen some online. The prices are all over the place, and like I was saying earlier, you see them for a pair for $35,000 on first dibs. Well, that's throwing pies at the wall and seeing which sticks. Ones I saw that were sort of back on earth prices they're still very valuable. I would say like in the $5,000 to $10,000 range a piece. That price is more for something that has been pampered and been used in the house, and grandma put it in their formal living room and it never got touched, and it was it still looks like the day it came from the factory. And the reason those prices are super high on that is because finding one like that is rare as hen's teeth. But I would still think even these as is, I would still say are probably in the $700 to $1,000 range a piece, because it's really not, it's most of what is
even with no seat.
Even with no seat, like I said, this goes into the good bones. They're rare chairs. They wouldn't be worth $10,000 in mint condition if they were easy to find. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever seen any in person. I'm familiar with Dan Johnson's work, and I've seen others of his chairs, but these actual Gazelle chairs is the first time I've ever seen them in person.
Fantastical.
Cool.
They're really neat. Well, thank you for the information. Here we're at Starlight
coming down
with Mark Opel, and got a lot of good information.